Welcome to tonight's show. We have a ton of major changes that have took place today pertaining to voting across the United States. This is a major change that's going to affect the election in a huge way. But before I get into that, there's been more voter fraud that has been caught, but now in Colorado. This is on top of what we talked about Pennsylvania earlier and what's happening in Virginia. But a lot of the states are done with it. The big major change is they're not going to accept ballots past election day like they did in 2020. This is going to 100% affect Trump in a huge major way because in 2020, the ballots that were accepted were mail-in ballots, and the majority of them were for Biden. But now they're not going to do that anymore. And what's crazy is that the votes that were illegally caught in Colorado today are still going to be counted. They said they cannot remove them from the system. On top of, they found a USPS carrier who literally thousands and thousands of election ballots were destroyed. Most of them for Trump. All this is happening right before the election. We're catching it like never before. The Harris campaign now is starting to blame Biden for her losing in the polls and losing in early voting, stating that he should have dropped out sooner because she hasn't had enough time to win over people. This literally makes no sense, and I can't believe the Democratic Party is turning on itself in this manner. And this is the best. The most popular podcaster in the world is sitting down to do a podcast. Joe Rogan is doing a podcast with Donald Trump. He said he wouldn't months ago, but now he's finally changed his mind for the good. This is amazing news. We've got a ton of breaking news tonight, guys. A lot of details. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. Thank you to everybody that supports the channel. If you're a member, thank you so much. Remember, the link is in the description to join. And thank you to all those that give a super chat donation. We are using that money for good, and we appreciate it so much and are so thankful for you. But I'm telling you, this is crazy news tonight, guys. We got a ton of it. Harris is now blaming Biden for her losing. Check this out.
You know, we just heard Jim Messina saying that as a candidate, Kamala Harris didn't have enough time to grow as a candidate. Now, isn't being the understudy for 3 years and 10 months of the president of the United States enough time to grow into the race?
You could argue that if the race were longer, she would be in an even worse shape because as time goes on and the more she has to do publicly, the worse her poll numbers get and the more independents are going over to the Trump campaign. And what did they expect? I mean, they had an option to do an open convention, to have tried and true candidates who maybe have won elections before, not just the U.S. Senate, but maybe gone through a primary process and lost, but who have been tested. And they decided not to do that. They decided to get behind Kamala Harris, assuming that she would win. Joe Biden pushed against it and was forced out. And now they're going to blame Biden for not getting out sooner. I mean, you have Barack Obama saying that maybe Biden was a better choice at this point. And so,
do y'all see this? This news is insane, guys. Thank you so much, Judy Lynn Loving, for the super chat. Y'all show Judy some love in the chat, everybody.
I think that if she were on the campaign longer, she would have some problems, but things are certainly not moving in the direction they want them to, and they are literally running out of time.
You know, Jesse, the majority of uncommitted voters are apparently between the ages of 18 and 34. You think dragging out Samuel L. Jackson or Bruce Springsteen are going to appeal to them?
No. The McDonald's visit affected more people than any of that. They said, I think 37% of young Americans who saw that visit now are leaning towards Trump. I was at my mother's house this morning, Judge Janine, and my dad opened his phone while my mom was making me scrambled eggs. Aww. And he goes, oh, Jesse, look at this. Axios says nervous Democrats fear that Kamala is blowing it. And I looked at my mother.
Crazy.
And I could have been a jerk, but I'm not a jerk. I'm a good sport, and I'm a kind son. I'm a compassionate American. And I just said, could I have my eggs, please?
First.
I didn't rub it in. I'm not trying to brag. You look at these polls, Trump has tied, Judge Janine. This is the first time he's ever been tied going into a race like this. He was down big with Hillary, down big with Biden. On television, I say the race is tight. Because when you have a tied national poll with Donald Trump, on television, I say the race is tight. I say other things to my friends. Not to my mother, but my friends. This is funny that they're blaming Joe Biden for not getting out earlier. How about just blaming Joe Biden for the last 4 years? People don't want to vote Democrat because it's been a mess. The border's wide open. People's pocketbooks are getting smashed. It has nothing to do with the coup and the timing of it. That should have happened in a normal primary process.
Yes.
Then maybe we could have a regular candidate instead of Kamala Harris, who's not ready, never was ready. So if you bring out Beyonce, I don't even think she's coming in. You want to know why? They told us she was going to come in at the DNC, and Roy Cooper showed up, the governor of North Carolina. So I think Roy's going to show tonight in Texas.
You know, Jessica.
And this is the thing, too. I'm telling you, everybody is on the side of the momentum is for Trump. So right now, the betting markets are still showing that Trump has a substantial lead. Remember, we're checking this out because remember, we always say, follow the money. But this is, again, like I was telling you, all the swing states in the betting markets are for Trump. But it isn't going to stop people from trying to cheat. This literally happened today. This is voter fraud, just like they caught in Pennsylvania. Yet this time, they're actually going to count the votes that were cast. Check this out.
Received a notice and alerted the clerk's office to fraud. Another voter contacted the office after learning from the state's ballot tracking system that their ballot had been turned in by someone else. Election officials began comparing signatures and noted some of them appeared to be signed by the same person. They launched an investigation, but not before 3 of the stolen ballots had already been counted. Those ballots cannot be retrieved, and the votes will count, but the 3 voters will receive new ballots.
This shows the resiliency of our process here in Colorado.
Oh, come on.
Nefarious things, it will be discovered through our processes.
And I'm telling you this, they say it's going to be discovered, and I'm glad that they caught that, but what about whenever people do this right here? Because this is the stuff that we barely caught. Look at this. This guy, USPS driver, this dude right here, has been caught by the federal government because somebody reported that he was throwing all these ballots and destroying them in the woods. Check this out. Thousands and thousands of ballots. And they checked them out, and guess what? Overwhelmingly, they're for Trump. It literally bothers me that we have so much malicious people that are willing to go and they know that it's a tough break for Kamala Harris right now, and they're trying to help her, and they're trying to destroy Trump's ballots. But I feel like, just like Trump said, it's got to be too big to rig, y'all. Too big to rig. On top of that, the more and more that people are coming out with Harris trying to call Trump Hitler, they're now saying that she has Marxist ideas. Check this out.
To create incentives for them to build millions of new homes and housing units so we can bring down the cost, including what I will do to give people a $25,000 down payment assistance if they are a first-time home buyer. His plans are about giving tax cuts, massive tax cuts, to billionaires and big corporations.
Louisiana Senator John Kennedy joins us now to talk more about this. You know, it's the same idea. It's what is it? It's you want to just give money away to home builders, hoping that they build more houses so housing gets cheaper, and you want to blame corporations for price gouging rather than take the blame for inflation yourself. I don't think Americans are buying this.
Clearly, they're not. Yeah. Rob, you don't have to be a Latin scholar to figure out what's going on at this moment. 13 days until the election, and Ms. Harris is behind. That's why you see her and President Obama and all of the pop stars and movie stars and people who partied with Harvey Weinstein running around like ants in a sugar bowl. They may bring back Michael Avenatti before it's over with. Their strategy seems to be Trump is a Nazi, Trump used the F word, Trump hates little warm puppies. You know, most voters, unless they're cell deep stupid, have already formed an opinion about President Trump. That's not why the vice president has fallen behind. She has fallen behind because the American people, or at least a critical portion of them, are very uncertain about her. And they want to be reassured. They want to know that she's not a chowderhead. They want to know that she has the right stuff. They want to know that if they gave her a penny for her thoughts, they wouldn't get back change. They want to know what she's going to do about inflation and the border and crime and national security. And President Trump has addressed all those things, and frankly, she hasn't.
And he addresses them in a way that actually sounds like, that they'll actually get fixed, and then that's the difference. And these early voting numbers, I just want to show some of them. Arizona, Republicans leading in the early vote by about 50,000, 55,000. North Carolina Republicans have closed the gap. Democrat advantage only about 10,000. In Nevada, Republicans have the lead. In Nevada, which is a blue state,
that is insane,
Republicans have the lead in the early vote.
Too big to rig.
Does that not tell the story of just pure motivation on one side and just disinterest on the other?
Well, Rob, I think at the end of the day, both sides will be motivated, and it'll be a close race. And, I can't predict the future. I have to wait for it like everybody else. But in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I've been in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Montana, Nevada, and this race has turned. And I think the vice president's strategy, for what it's worth, is star-spangled stupid. I mean, her thesis seems to be, Rob, look, I may be bad, but the other guy's worse. That's not how you win a campaign. People are uncertain about the vice president, and she's done nothing to reassure them.
It is something to me that when it's Trump and the way that they vilify him, the fact that Democrats aren't climbing all over themselves to vote against him in these early voting numbers, to me, is an indicator of something. And the fact that Republicans are actually, in a state like Nevada, that more Republicans early voting than Democrats, to me, is a huge indicator of what's coming. I got 10 seconds. Go ahead.
This race right now is about the following: hope versus more hurt. Hope versus more hurt.
That's well said.
And I'm telling you this, like across the board, people are turning. Joe Rogan wasn't a fan of Trump and said he would never have him on his podcast. But check this out.
Hello, world.
Hello, world.
We just wrapped up a great podcast.
We had a good time. I think you'll find it very interesting and enjoy it.
Guys.
Hello. World.
It's crazy, guys.
Hello, world.
Literally, they said the podcast was almost 3 hours. And I got something I wanted to show you real quick, because you've always seen it where people are tearing down the Trump signs and things like that. Look at what this person did. Let me know what you think.
Oh!
Oh! What do y'all think about this, guys? So we fast forward, this guy starts cussing, he starts getting mad and says, do you know who I am? Do you know my father's a congressman? He's gonna sue you. But this is what a lot of the left do. They feel like they have the right to go destroy people's property, but you never see people destroying the walls or the Harris stuff. What you see them doing is standing up and fighting for the American people like this.
Where is Beth? Oh, there she is, right there. Senator Vance, my name is Beth, and I'm from right here in Monroe. And like many parents, I'm concerned about immigration. Yesterday, the front page of the New York Post reported that last year, the benefits we are providing illegal immigrants cost us $150 billion. To put that in context, the entire budget for the state of North Carolina last year was $33 billion. So how soon will President Trump close the border?
I think that President Trump will close the border. I'm just guessing here. We're right about January 20th, 2025.
Let's go.
one of the things that the press does and Kamala Harris's campaign does is they try to make us feel like bad people for believing in border security. They say that border security is not compassionate, but then they miss the fact that 320,000 children have effectively gone missing thanks to Kamala Harris's open border. It's not compassionate to those children, and it sure as heck isn't compassionate to the American citizens who are suffering under this terrible border crisis. Now, we talk all the time about fentanyl, and we should, because the 100,000 American citizens who are dying because of this poison the cartels are bringing into our country. We don't talk as much about the fact that hospital wait times, emergency room wait times have gone up radically in the United States of America because we've got a lot of illegal aliens who are getting put in front of line of American citizens. We talk about the price of housing, which has gone up 40%. That's what happens when you have 25 million people and you put them in homes that all by right go to American citizens. We talk about schools. What happens to the education for an American child when you drop hundreds of people into their school district who don't even speak the language? That distracts critical resources from the children of American citizens. We're going to have better education, better health care, lower housing, and we're going to tackle this fentanyl crisis because Donald J. Trump is going to close the border, and we're going to start the very first day.
We built over 500 miles of border wall the first time. You can guarantee yourself Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are going to complete the wall.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
All right.
That's what I love, guys. Whenever they say, look, we spent $150 billion on illegals, that's 5 times more than the North Carolina state budget for the entire state. But I love that they come out and they say, you know what? We're going to close it. Remember, he said January 20th. That's literally what, 14 days after Inauguration Day? But I'm telling you what, they're trying to pull out who? Hillary Clinton. They're trying to pull out Hillary Clinton, Obama, everybody. But people are saying what? No, they're unhinged. They sound crazy. Nobody believes them. We want the truth. Check this out.
There is a reason that 2/3, roughly, of the American people, according to some polling, think we're off on the wrong track. And it largely is what David said. Inflation, cost of food, cost of housing, all of the day-to-day concerns. And so when I hear Hillary Clinton, sort of dismissing, people who want to vote for Donald Trump and not really even mentioning some of the day-to-day concerns of people, it reminds me of why she was so unpopular, why she lost, and why Democrats are struggling to get over the hump in this election.
Well, to be fair, she could have easily won. I think it was 75,000 votes that decided that. When you look
Coulda,
at
woulda,
that.
shoulda.
Scott, obviously.
I think they are leaning into everything that has nothing to do with the core problem of the campaign, which is that people just don't really know what she would do as the president. I mean, that's the main problem. They've heard all the attacks on Trump. They know the celebrities like Democrats. We know all this. What we don't know is what would she actually do as president. This was the deficiency in the CNN town hall last night. Can't answer basic questions that she's been asked over and over and over again. Doesn't want to discuss the biggest issues in any specificity whatsoever. None of these star-studded rallies, none of this stuff, it's all anti-Trump and shut up and show up. That's basically the campaign. Now,
How many of them have you attended?
Well, I'm watching them often on our airs here.
Because she has been pretty specific about economic proposals. You cover.
Yeah,
the whole middle class emphasis has been big.
She got asked about taxes last night and said, "Well, this is too complex to discuss." Would you say that was a specific? He was the president. His job approval from his term in office is far higher than her job approval as the vice president. So the way to cure that is to tell.
Oh, come on.
From the administration that is drastically unpopular.
Well, it was really interesting.
And that's the thing. Even on CNN, they still let this dude on there, which is crazy. But he comes out and he tells the truth. And this is the part that people can't handle. And no matter what they say, Trump comes out and tells policies versus she comes out and then all she can say is what? That she doesn't like Trump. So Trump went to the border, visited the border, ground zero for the border invasion. Check this out, because to me, this just says it all. They should give Donald Trump the win just because of this.
Thank you, President. Thank you, President. I really respect the fact that you came out to Texas to highlight migrant crime, illegal alien crime. We've got some good people here in the front row that have been supporting the governor's efforts to do the federal government's job.
Ooh.
And so we really appreciate that. But I want to talk about the person that's going to be coming to Houston tonight, not to apologize or highlight illegal alien crime, but to party like a fool on stage with celebrities. Instead of apologizing to the families, this is somebody who likes to brag about being a former federal prosecutor who prosecuted transnational gangs and cartel members. So she knew better, President Trump. She knew better than most exactly the threat that these people, these animals, create, the threat that they bring to our communities that will harm our families. And these scumbags listed here on these pictures here are part of the Kamala crime wave. And because of that, the Kamala crime wave has devastated cities. President Trump strikes fear in the enemies of America. That is the type of leadership that we need in this country. Just recently, the criminal cartels have greenlit firing on Border Patrol agents. They would have never done that under President Trump because they know he would send the message that if you touch a single hair on a Border Patrol agent, I will eradicate you. That's the strength and leadership we need from President Trump.
And if you don't know who this is Paul Perez, the National Border Patrol Council president. Remember, they endorse him. All 16,000 Border patrollees endorsed Donald Trump, not Kamala Harris. And if that tells you anything, it's that they know who actually would do something with the border. Thank you so much, Jennifer Tyree, for the super chat. First timer, y'all. Show her some love in the chat. Said, may God continue to bless you. Thank you so much. And Christine Engler with the 5 gifted True Life News memberships. You are amazing. Y'all show Christine some love, everybody.
Not the clowns that are running for president on the Democratic ticket. My daughter can handle a shotgun better than Tim Walz. And he served in the military, as he claims. The Secretary of Homeland Security, also a former federal prosecutor. They know better. They should have stopped this invasion. They did nothing. They not only facilitated, but they encouraged it. This border needs to be fixed, and the only person that can fix this border is Donald J. Trump.
Guys, that's the president over all the Border Patrol agents. That just tells you where things are at and why we need Donald Trump in office. I mean, to me, when I see that, I'm just blown out of my mind. I love how just frank they are to say, you know what? She sucks. We need him because we need to protect America. And not only that, check this out.
Anatomy of a smear, my friends. And meanwhile, we have a candidate who's actually focused on substance and the things that are really impacting the country.
I will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country, and we'll get them out.
When Trump goes to Texas, he talks about the border and he meets with the families of those who've been brutalized by illegal immigrants. And when Kamala goes to Texas, well, she parties with all the cool celebrities. That tells you everything you need to know about their priorities. And now, 11 days out, and we're seeing some of the final polls of this long election cycle. Both CNN and the New York Times Siena poll has Kamala and Trump nationally deadlocked. Now, this remains anyone's race, but both have multiple paths to victory. For all the details, let's go to the big board where America's Newsroom co-host Bill Hemmer, he's standing by. Hey, Bill.
Yeah, tell everybody in Texas I said hello, okay, and enjoy your time down there. I was just looking at the same poll here, Laura, and the reason I'm showing you this to start off is because of what they've got here in the Times poll that came out earlier today. The Journal the other day, 2 days ago, I should say, 49-46 favor Trump. So what we got, CNN in a poll today, too, came out, I mean, dead even, 47-47. So I want to just take you back here and find out, just for a moment, and ask yourself, how can Kamala Harris win? And conversely, how can Donald Trump win? But in order to do that, and if these polls are right and the country's still even Steven, well, this is 2020, and this was the result in Wisconsin, Laura. He had 33.2 million votes cast. It was decided by 20,000 votes, okay?
20,000
same
votes.
year, let's pop over here to Pennsylvania because you hear so much about the blue wall. That's why we're doing this. You know, 81,000? Yeah, pretty close. I mean, it was close in 2016 also, but that was razor tight too. And the other third, the blue wall state we talk about is Michigan, and Biden won that by about 154,000 out of 5.2 million votes cast. Okay, what does all that mean? What does that mean right now in the year 2024? Here's what I want to do for you, okay? The 7 states you see in yellow or gold behind me, we still believe they are battleground states. They've yet to be decided. Plus this Nebraska number 2, which is Omaha, okay? As of now, the easiest way for the viewer or the voter to understand the path to victory for Kamala Harris, if we think she's locked in at 225, and this blue wall here is wide open, okay, for either candidate, to be honest with you. But let's say Harris is doing well there in Wisconsin and Michigan, and she's getting close to that number. Pennsylvania is 19 electoral votes right now. Under that scenario, you take the blue wall, you take Nebraska 2 down here, and that would be enough for her. I mean, by the hair of your chinny chin chin, Laura, right? You're at 270. Flipping around here. I'll go ahead, since Nebraska 2 is lean Democrat, I'll keep that in the blue column. So here's Trump now, and you got the Sun Belt states in the Southeast and also the Southwest. So we start at 219, we think, as of now. North Carolina, 16, Georgia, 16 electoral votes. You come out west, you got 11 in Arizona, and you got 6 in Nevada, you're at 268. So even under that scenario for Donald Trump, although he has more paths to victory than Kamala Harris, you got to go 4 for 4 right now under this scenario. And that's what we did here. But still, he's shy. So, you know, these Senate races in the upper Midwest and Michigan, the polls suggest it's all tightening and tightening very quickly. So maybe there's something moving in Michigan, and that would be enough for Trump to do it. Likewise for Wisconsin, polls are tightening in the Senate race, and maybe that portends something else at 278. You notice I'm leaving out Pennsylvania? Because, Laura, I could give you 14 different scenarios that involve some combination of Pennsylvania, which is most critical for Harris and Trump come election night. So it's kind of where we stand right now as we look at this thing 11 days out and counting.
Wow, that is crazy. He said there's more ways for Trump to win than Kamala Harris. Guys, I just feel it. I feel like he's going to win. Let me know your thoughts. But thank you so much, Michael Day, for the super chat. He said if she wins, is the election not certifiable because she never won a primary? She's going to get certified. They will find a way. They will figure it out just like they did to get her on the ballots, guys. They keep twisting the rules for the Democrats to try to make it so that they can have their way. Y'all show them some love in the chat,
Bill,
everybody.
Thank you. It's always great to see you.
See you later.
All right. And the race may be effectively tied in the national polls. But as veteran pollster Mark Penn said, over the past few weeks, and Bill hinted at this, the momentum seems to have been shifting to Trump. And unless something fairly dramatic changes in that momentum shift, he could be in good shape on Election Day. And that means it's time to grab the popcorn because they're already setting up the fall guys or the gal in the event that Kamala loses. Now, some are actually saying that the liberal media, this is phenomenally funny to me, that the liberal media hasn't been in the tank enough for Kamala. Okay. I love reading the meltdown on social media, attacking CNN because Kamala couldn't answer softball questions. Now, does it occur to any of them that it might have been wise to choose a candidate who people actually like? Maybe even someone who can give decent answers to questions she's been asked, 4 times?
How can we differentiate your policy and your beliefs from that of Biden's?
It's about a new approach, a new generation of leadership based on new ideas and, frankly, different experiences.
Why wasn't any of that done for the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson.
There's more to do, Anderson.
11.
But if it's not Jake Tapper or Anderson Cooper's fault, it has to be a KKK thing.
When I think about America, I think about my grandmother's quilt. We are all shapes, sizes, and colors, but we are one. And it was so important for me to stand with a candidate who understands that we as America, we are a quilt. And I could never stand with a candidate who wants America to be a sheet.
How despicable. Tyler Perry, shame on you.
That's lit. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, like every single thing, and I like Tyler Perry too. I like a lot of his messages, but I do not align with that. But it's just crazy how everything, especially when it comes to Pennsylvania, the facts don't lie. Trump helped the economy. Check this out. A lot of people don't know this, but Pennsylvania, fracking, oil, gas, all this is huge. So as of fiscal year 2023, the Biden-Harris administration, they released 671 leases for oil and gas. Well, then you had, Trump, who released 4,975. Why do you think gas was so cheap? It was because they were allowed to, like Trump says, we have gold beneath us. We can be energy independent. This is why we were, for the first time ever, energy independent, and we didn't have to rely on other countries to get our gas or oil or whatnot, and that we were now controlling the state. And this is what we need to be as a country. Like, it blows my mind that we continue to move in the opposite direction, and people don't see that. But again, too, we have to think about who's running the country, what are they trying to accomplish, and then, too, are they truly America first? Because from the looks of it, I don't think they are. You let me know. Check this out.
From Election Day, and Democrats feel like they need a therapist.
Democrats, it's kind of a tie race, and they were lapsed into profound depression. And a depressed party is not a winning party. So anything that I can do to address that kind of depression, I'm glad to do it.
So if you're a Democrat and you're suffering from election anxiety, James Carville's offering his services. Hopefully not in that way, but he did say anything. For the first time ever, Trump is tied going into Election Day. Boom. He always goes in down. Let that sink in. It's the tightest race in a half a century, and behind the scenes, Democrats are worried she can't stretch herself across the finish line. Little she does, says, or tries seems to move the needle. They've been waiting for her to fully reveal herself to voters, but she hasn't. She's been a tease. At this point, Democrats are throwing their hands up in the air and saying, she is who she is. They're coming to grips with the fact that Kamala has reached her full potential. This version of Kamala is as good as it's ever going to get. After the CNN town hall, reality slapped Democrats in the face.
Her performance last night was the last straw for a lot of Democrats. No more. The more she does it, the better she'll get.
The get to know her phase, that's over. They've realized the country's not interested. Just ask Mel Gibson.
A lot of people I know what it'll be like if we let her in.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And that ain't good.
Yeah. Well,
miserable track record, appalling track record, no policies to speak of.
Yeah. And the border, right?
And she's got the IQ of a fence post.
So it's not good. And Bill Clinton, not helping.
There is a sliver there that has to make up their mind. And to them, Kamala Harris just showed up. I mean, she was there as vice president. And what they think of her largely depends on what they think of President Biden. But she is extremely vulnerable, more vulnerable than she deserves to be.
Now, if Bubba keeps this up, Democrats are going to have to lock him up in the basement with Joe. But Slick Willie's right. She's vulnerable, and the far left smelling blood in the water. Progressives warn Harris must change her closing message as the election looms.
Woohoo!
The Bernie bros are asking Harris, can you stop campaigning with Liz Cheney? Liz Cheney. And maybe campaign with AOC instead? They're telling her, stop screaming about fascism and start talking about the bread and butter kitchen table issues that motivate working class Democrats.
Some Democrats are concerned that you've pivoted too far away from talking about the economy and really prioritizing that in these final days of the election, that you could end up losing some progressive voters and some working class voters because of that. What do you say to those people, especially ones who might be concerned that, doing a big closing argument speech at a place like the Ellipse, maybe leaning more into talking about the threat of Trump to democracy and not the threats that you see to the economy?
One of the things that I love about the American people is we can hold many thoughts at once.
That's deep.
Wow.
Kamala's base is fracturing on the eve of the election because she's not talking about wages, health care, and education. Things Democrats used to stand for before they got captured by the corporate class. Morning Joe keeps telling her to talk about Hitler, and she's following orders because that's what she's done her whole life. She doesn't realize she can give orders now. She doesn't have to just do what she's told. Bernie Sanders, who's won millions more primary votes than Kamala has ever won, is warning the Democratic Party, we're going to lose if we don't talk about the economy. But there's two problems. One, Kamala can't talk about the economy because she's the one who tanked it. And two, Kamala's afraid to be seen with Bernie. She was more liberal than Bernie in the Senate, but now she acts like they never met. That tells you how much of a hoax Harris's candidacy is. Democrats are now wondering who'd be more responsible for a Harris loss, Biden for dragging his feet, or Harris. But there's plenty of blame to go around. Everyone's responsible.
This is the second time the Democratic Party has circumvented democracy and chose. Yes, it is. Hillary Clinton was chosen, and she had Bruce Springsteen too. And what happened to her? And now we've chosen.
Kevin, Hillary Clinton won a primary. Okay, she won a primary. You may not.
Nobody could compete with her, even Bernie Sanders.
She won a primary.
Okay.
First of all, that's the first.
So
thing.
did Kamala Harris win a primary?
Listen, we've talked about this before.
What's wrong about talking about it tonight after what you just saw?
Do you think that's really what matters to voters?
Right now.
How many Democrats wish?
Your whole shtick has
Hang
been,
on a second.
let's talk about what matters to voters. Do you really think voters care about the internecine primary process?
If you're a Democrat, you sure as hell care today.
Kamala Harris is going to lose because Biden waited too long to step down. Are you serious? He didn't step down. He backed out with a gun to his head.
Ain't that the truth?
The Democrats knew Biden was shot for years. They could have primaried him. The way things have been done since our founding. They could have had an open primary after Joe got whacked. The truth is Biden and Kamala were both probably going to lose. They're both responsible for the last 4 years. Nobody can point to the last 4 years and say they deserve to be reelected. Doesn't matter who you are. It's not about Biden and Harris. It's about what they did.
Yes. And I'll say this too. If Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, was running, I think that he would have a strong chance to actually beat Donald Trump. But I'm just saying because of, he's not Kamala Harris or Biden. But I want to say thank you to Joseph Evans for the super chat. Say, everybody just remember God is in control and he knows exactly what he is doing. Pray about it and leave it in God's hands and keep your eyes open. Let's go. Y'all show Joseph some love in the chat, everybody.
The Democrats are all in denial and demand every celebrity in America pop up on stage and sprinkle Kamala with as much Hollywood magic as possible and just close their eyes and hope their dreams come true. Tonight, we're hearing Kamala's going to be on stage with Beyonce, but the media's seen this before.
With 11 days to go, I got to tell you, to this reporter, it feels a little familiar because I remember these scenes from 2016 when Hillary Clinton rallied in Philadelphia with Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen. That event was basically a victory rally that was held before all the votes were cast. And we all know how it turned out.
You can't fuel a campaign with pop stars.
No.
Campaigns are about connecting with people who have real problems. These real moments between the politician and the people, that's what makes or breaks a campaign. You can see one connects and the other doesn't.
Wow. Completely different.
It's about priorities, and the people see that. Before Trump taped the Joe Rogan podcast, he was visiting angel moms whose offspring were murdered by Biden migrants.
Today, Kamala is here in Texas to rub shoulders with woke celebrities. Isn't that exciting? But she's not going to meet with any of the victims of migrant crime while she's here. We have many of them right here, the families, we have many of them. And they're incredible people, what they've gone through, the hell that they've gone through, and will continue to go through, unfortunately. She'll not speak to the grieving mothers from whom she has stolen the brightest light in their lives.
Celebrity endorsements are fine. Beyonce has every right to be in Texas with the borders are, but that's all Harris has. She doesn't have the people. She's not tackling our problems. You got to get your hands dirty if you want to be president. It's not an easy job. You can't worry about what everybody's saying about you. You can't hide from questions. You got to aim for the problem, sell the solution, and work your butt off. And if you see what's going to happen and maybe you're depressed about it, call Carville, and he'll do anything to cheer you up. And I mean anything. Let's bring in former Assistant Treasurer.
Guys, I'm telling you this. This right here, what's happening in the last few days, this is big. The momentum is huge because remember, this is Trump's third election that he's running in. And we're the comparative to previous years, he's winning big time. But what I'm about to show you right now, I think is what's going to put it over the top for him to win.
Hey everyone, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton here with some big news. We have a civil rights lawsuit for Mississippi voters who object to that state's counting ballots for up to 5 days that arrive, absentee ballots, after an election. Federal law allows for an election day, not an election week. We also have a lawsuit in Illinois where they count ballots that arrive for up to 14 days after an election, even without a valid postmark. I tell you, counting ballots after election day is a great way to invite fraud. It undermines confidence in the elections. Plus, it's downright illegal.
And that's right here, guys, where the Judicial Watch, he's the president over it, the Fifth Circuit hours ago ruled against counting ballots that arrive after Election Day. You just heard. Why do you think Illinois is so blue? Because they allow 14 days after the election to count ballots, and you don't even have to have the postmark. You can just drop a ballot off with a signature, and it gets counted. It's 100%. I'm telling you. I love it that they're catching this. They're fighting it like never before. And I believe that's why Trump is going to win big time, is because we're doing things like never before that are going to help us win the election. Check this out.
This weekend, he's going on Rogan, holding massive rallies in swing states. We're hearing he's going to Virginia. Then he's going to the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. MSG is an iconic venue where legends from every generation have performed. Muhammad Ali, Billy Joel, the '94 Rangers won the cup there. But Hillary Clinton's, in her eyes, if you go to MSG, you're a Nazi.
One other thing that you'll see next week, Caitlin, is Trump actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939. Neo-Nazis, fascists in America were lining up to essentially pledge their support for the kind of government that they were seeing in Germany. So I don't think we can ignore it. Now, it may be a leap for some people, and a lot of others may think, I don't want to go there. I don't want to say that. But please, open your eyes to the danger that this man poses to our country.
Well, we opened our eyes and saw another politician who held a rally at the Garden. His name is Bill Clinton.
What?
The DNC was at MSG in '92. And
Wow.
look who's on stage.
Hillary Clinton.
Does Hillary think that swing state Democrat senators praising Trump policies are fascists too? Because that's what they're doing. If Trump's a fascist, then Kamala shook a fascist's hand before she debated him. It means Chuck Schumer was giggling next to a fascist at the Al Smith dinner. It means CNN held a fascist town hall. It means Kamala likes fascist policies too. No tax on tips, border wall, Chinese tariffs. She stole the fascist playbook. I know, it's stupid. Democrats have been calling Republicans Nazis from Nixon to Reagan to Bush and now Trump. They're talking Nazi because they can't talk policy. How could they? They've been in office for 4 years and the results are a catastrophe. Here's what's happening in Chicago.
You've given us no choice. We got to go to the federal level. We got to go to Donald J. Trump because he's made it clear what he's going to do. This is America. You bringing these people over here that's from socialist countries and all this and that, and y'all think y'all gonna run that here. Black America said, no, you not. The true white Americans are saying, no, you not. The true Latino, the true Asians are saying, no, you not.
Wow.
I'm telling you, Brandon Johnson, from my heart to yours, Trump 2024. No more blue, no matter who.
Boom. Let's go.
No more blue, no matter who. Alina Habba is a senior advisor to President Trump. Alina, does it sound like that woman in Chicago cares what's happening at MSG or what happened there 100 years ago?
I think that's going to be my opening line at MSG. No more blue. Don't care who. Although I was never blue. Listen, I'll take it. Thank you, madam. Thank you for that line. Look, here's the story, Jesse. We all know what they're doing. They're fear mongers. We've been watching it for 3.5 years. You know, prosecute him in the courtroom. Oh, that didn't work. Try and jail him. That didn't work. Kill him. That didn't work. So what are we going to do? They're having a major rally at MSG. They're Hitler-loving human beings. Give me a break. You know what we love? We love America, Jesse.
Ain't that
we
the
are all
truth?
for MAGA. Make America great again. And they use it like it's a F-bomb. And you know it, and I know it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But this is a woman, look, she stood with her husband after he did unthinkable things in the Oval. We got Kamala, who has a husband with some unthinkable accusations right now with hitting women. And I am happy to stand with somebody who cares about one thing, safety, protection, and prosperity for American people and for our children not to be indoctrinated by teachers who hide things from us, like transitioning them. That's what I'm for. So I will stand proudly at Madison Square Garden with the rest of New York, who is fed up with the Tish Jameses, the DOJs, and the desperate attempts from the left-wing media. And I will try and save this great nation on November 5th. That's what Sunday's about. And that's it.
Well, you know what? You just said the things that they're not talking about. They're not talking about the economy, the border. They're not talking about protecting women. They're not talking about any of that. They're talking about Trump, and they're talking about fascism. No one cares about fascism. You go outside, I'll have Johnny go out right now, ask 100 people to define fascism. Not only can probably half them not do it, they probably don't care what happened 70 years ago in Europe. It has nothing to do with today.
100% true. You know what? Every time you look at that town hall, every time and any time Kamala's ever spoken, they ask her about policies. She can't define them. What she'll do is distract you and talk about Trump. Just look at it. It's a playbook. Don't talk to me about policy because I don't have my own. I'm a flip-flopper. Don't talk to me about how I failed in the last 3.5 years. I'll talk to you about what I'm going to change. Kamala, you're there. You're still in the White House. Do it. Grow a set and do it. But she won't. And that's the truth. She's trying to fool the American people. The American people have wisened up, Jesse. And that's why we're seeing polling coming out. But we still need to get everybody out to vote. Trump has got to win to save this country. That's the truth. We've got 11 days. I'm here to fight for it.
All right, we'll see what happens on
I love it, guys. She said she told Kamala to, wow, let's go. Guys, thank y'all so much for joining tonight. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. Y'all killed it tonight. We've got, thank you so much to Judy Lynn Loving for the super chat. Jennifer Tyree, thank you so much to Michael Day, Joseph Evans. Y'all showed them some love in the chat. Thank you so much to Christine Engler for giving 5 True Life News memberships. Y'all are so amazing. I hope y'all enjoyed tonight's show. Guys, we've been mixing it up. There's just so much crazy breaking news out there. But remember, vote early. If you know somebody who hasn't voted, go get them to vote. And we got to make it too big to rig. Because I'm telling you what, we already showed you there's thousands and thousands, probably tens of thousands of ballots out there that are false, fraudulent. We're catching some of them, but we're not going to catch all of them. Remember, was it Michigan or Wisconsin was only won by like 30,000 votes. Arizona only won by 10 or 11,000. North Carolina only won by 10 or 11,000. We got to make it too big to rig. Too big to rig. I love you all so much. Thank you for your support. And I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.